Piece of shit. Stupid piece of shit.
I don't want to go! Hey,
Hey!
that's a plug. You pulled the plug on me?
Lovely New York City. Trying to connect with you guys. So growing up, I moved around a lot. Usually at least once a year, sometimes twice, whether that was the actual house I was living in or the school. Thankfully, kind of taught myself, at least I think I have, how to do that. How to make friends and keep them. Kind of. Not great at it, but I try. Growing up, I always felt really invalidated in how I felt in my general experience and like the reality of what was happening. It always left me really confused. It just felt like I would blink and wake up and 2-3 years have just gone by.
Wait, okay, so you spent your entire life savings developing this thing?
Yeah!
Oh god, you are an idiot!
I noticed that when I was younger, select few people had a nickname for me and my family. That's a rat. As the robot. I was the robot. No matter what was said to me or what was done to me, at a certain age, I just started blocking it all out. And I could just move forward and pretend like I didn't care. As I got older, that changed. And it kind of all hit me at once. And I had to learn how to address these things and how to handle them. But at that point, in some ways, it was sort of too late. Because I never learned true emotional regulation, I only knew how to feel it all or nothing at all.
What's wrong, babe? You've hardly touched your Seroquel.
I had, and in a lot of ways still have a tendency to overreact, over-adjust. And sometimes I find myself overplaying my hand in order to maybe maintain control over what is not for me to control. I noticed that I always had a finality to the way that I was. It's called black and white thinking. Things are this way or they're that way, and there's absolutely no in between.
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead. Like, if I could guarantee Henry would be okay, I'd hope you'd get an illness and then get hit by a car.
It's a Saturday night, and I'm walking through East Village. It's loud. This way of thinking has, for sure, gotten me in trouble. And overestimating how much I mean to other people and how much they actually value me.
I will have this dream periodically until I meet all of the strangers one by one, introducing them all to each other until we are a close group of friends. I will set these events in motion and I will die. But today, in the warm light of the sunset, I don't see it. I just see the sunset. I smile back and shake my head. I have absolutely no idea. I am afraid.
I have a few diagnoses which explain why I am the way I am now. Doesn't make it much better. You know, at this point I've been through therapy and this and that, and so I tend to handle myself relatively well. In the rare occasion that I show or I reveal one of those traits of one of those diagnoses, people look at me like, who are you? You're terrifying. You were secretly like this the whole time, weren't you? You were lying. You were pretending to be a good person. I was talking to my therapist the other day, and she was listening to me talk about this. I hope it's not a falling out, but this argument kind of that I had with a friend. And she paused after I kind of explained the situation and thought for a second. And she said, wow, I understand why that hurts. And it's because there's so much care and thoughtfulness behind what you're saying. I think a lot of times, I don't know if this has always been like this, but nowadays I feel like people are trying so hard to be so nonchalant, so chill, pretend like they don't care about anything or anybody. There's such a level of avoidance that is normalized amongst my generation that I surely exhibit as well. But when she said this, I realized maybe I am not making the mistake that I think that I am. And that maybe the level of honesty in which I communicate my feelings is just. And that although it may be intense to some to have what they consider to be just a friend, and I'd like to think that we are close friends and that we've known each other for a while and I know a lot about them and they know a lot about me. We're not like mutual acquaintances, we're like this, you know what I mean? And so for me to show that level of honesty and transparency, and for them to reject it as though I'm too much, which for me internally is so validating to that part of me that thinks that I am unlovable, that I am not good enough, that I am too much, that I push people away.
If you're so funny, why are you on your own tonight?
That reaction from then validates those insecure thoughts. Hearing that acknowledgement of, wow, there is so much care and empathy behind what you're saying, that it feels overwhelming to them, made it click for me. Maybe they just don't value that type of truth. And that's okay. It just had me thinking that showing or expressing how you really feel will never ruin what was meant for you. And if me and this person are not meant to be friends, then they will misinterpret that honesty.
Like we've been talking about how cool and laid back you are. Do you come loud?
You can say there's a part on me to adjust my communication accordingly, to be respectful and to try to reach them where they're at, and to make sure that I'm not hitting somewhere that's a soft spot for them. And I would absolutely agree. However, there's a part of me that also realizes that if this was meant for me, or for us to be in this mutually beneficial friendship, that it would not lead to the end. Understand what I'm saying? Most of the time I don't, so. Let me know if you do. Let me tell you guys a story. And maybe this will put in perspective the intensity in which I live my life. I don't want to see other people right now. I'm going to take these off. So, when I first moved to New York, after deciding that, many of you may not know, I used to study engineering, and a lot of it was pressured onto me by my family to support them, which I understand, but it didn't make me happy. I was really depressed when I was doing it, and I felt like I was wasting my youth, and long story short, I ended up here, and I'm really happy here. When I first came here, I was living with somebody, and that didn't work out. It was really intense, and that's actually what led to me searching, to get diagnosed and figure out, what's up with me, and understand myself and the world around me a little better. Eventually, I was moved into an apartment, and I was supposed to have a roommate, but it didn't work out. I'm alone at that time, and so I had no choice. I need somewhere to go, so I went there. During this time, I had recently been trying to get sober from like substance abuse issues, and I was really depressed and trying to make it work, and I'd kind of done it for a few months, and then I had relapsed.
I'm not kidding. The pills now. I told you I'm on a system now. I'm not doing drugs. I'm not like you. I don't fetishize my own sadness. My hands are so slippery.
This time it was pretty bad, and I was kind of living as though I was ready. This was a few years ago though. Now we're sober, we're good. But at that time, I was like ready to check out, any day. Just trying to get through each day, but in that, being okay if I did not. There was like a thought that it would end was sort of a warm blanket for me. And so I was going out Thursday through Monday with a few different groups of people that I'd met in like these clubbing and party scenes, and I was just doing a ton of stuff that I should not have been doing. This one weekend I decided, hey, this is it. I can't maintain this anymore. I can't keep doing this. I'm gonna check out. I did a lot of different stuff. A lot of stuff you shouldn't mix, a lot of stuff you shouldn't do more than once a year in general. I was going out every night, and then it happened.
I think I want to be forgiven. More than anything.
I was alone in my apartment. I'd gotten home from a party. I wasn't feeling well, and it hit me kind of all at once, doing all this stuff in the matter of like a span of 2 days, while having already been doing it for that entire summer at that point. And I was sort of actively, I was actively of overdose, and I was completely aware though of what was happening, and I couldn't walk, and I had nobody to call. It's funny, there was this primary care doctor I'd seen like almost a year before, and I didn't really tell her everything I was doing, but she could kind of tell because I looked deathly ill when I saw her, and that was like around the time we're trying to get sober for the first time. And she's like, hey, if you ever need anything, like, she gave me a personal number. She was like, contact me. Contacted her, and I gave her like the symptoms and whatever, and she told me like, this is what's happening, but she was like, it doesn't make sense. You're not doing anything bad, and you can only get this. Like, this is something that like marathon runners get when they are running for too long and don't eat and don't drink and whatever. long story short, I could barely walk. I was pissing blood, and I was like in and out of consciousness. And at that moment, I realized that I did not want to die, that I wanted to live. I just did not want to keep living a life that I hated, that I wanted to do something for myself that for me made it all worth it, you know? Life is hard a lot of the time. You need to find the things that make it worth it. And for me at that time, I had nothing that made it worth it for me. You know, I'm not close with my family. You know, at that time I had no friends, no real friends. Like I had friends, but no real friends. Nobody who's actually looking out for me, checking on me.
You were always telling me about your friends, but I never saw them visit, and you were always sitting alone.
I did what I had to do to get through it. You know, I couldn't go to a hospital because I couldn't risk them contacting, you know, my family or letting anybody find out. I didn't want anybody to worry about me. Instead of getting put on an IV, I ordered a bunch of Gatorade and some other stuff that I needed, and I just chugged it and tried to rehydrate myself and tried to fix what was happening and rest. And it took me like a week to get out of that first initial, like, I don't even know how to say it, like really bad spot. And then right after that, I got COVID. Like literally, I was finally starting to like my piss was normal-ish, and I was sort of recovering from the muscle loss. And then I got COVID, and I was weak all over again, and it was flu-like symptoms, and it was really bad. And I was like, so for 2 weeks essentially, I was like couch-ridden, could not get up, really couldn't move. I didn't go out that entire time. I decided to create a life worth living, and I decided to get into a serious therapist that specialized in my illnesses. To preface this, part of the reason why I had decided that this is the last weekend I was going to be here was because while I was trying to get sober the first time, I got my diagnoses for my mental illness, and the unique combination that I have, I was reading online, it's like 6% of people worldwide survive. And then like 2% of them heal. A mass majority of the cases result in self-exit. I did not think that I would be able to be that 2%. I didn't think I was strong enough. But I was, and I am. You have to live a life worth living. It's the only way to do it. And for some people, that's really easy to understand. There was never another way. You know, they had the freedom growing up. They had maybe financial support or emotional support. Even when things got hard, you know, there was people to rely on. You know, for me, my entire life, I've just kind of been out here figuring it out on my own. You know, my therapist wanted to try this new technique recently, and she was like, well, you need to think of these 3 things. It was like somebody who represents safety and nurture whatever. You need to find someone who is wise, and then you need to pick someone who is strong or reliable or whatever. I don't remember. I'll post it here next to my head. If you guys can still see me, I can't see. And I sat there for 20 minutes and I couldn't think of anybody. And she was like, hey, like, we can just move on to the next one. And I was like, I don't have a response for any of these. I'm gonna walk again. Getting tired of sitting, my butt hurts. And I realized, she helped me come to this conclusion that I have really just been out here on my fucking own. I told her, you know, I'm sort of envious, you know, my friends and just a majority of the people I meet, they have such strong support systems. I mean, forget the support system, just the idea that they have someone and that they can go to and say, hey, I don't know how to do this. How do I do this? How do I do my taxes? How do I get a job? How do I make a resume? Where do I go to make friends?
I'm tired, bro. I fuck up everything I come across.
You know, I realized that all these people around me, they had somebody who could tell them where to go, where to look, where to start. Because usually that's the hardest part, right?
Please, I've been gooning all day and I can't stop.
I've just been, and maybe some of you guys can relate, I've just been figuring that out on my own, which isn't necessarily impossible. And there have been, you know, countless numbers of people who've done it before and that will do it after me. But that feeling of isolation, of total solitude, even amongst the presence of other people. Even though they're here, our experience is not entirely shared, and that we are inherently different in that way, and that even though they can care about me, I will never be that first choice for them, because they already have a plethora of people that they've probably known since they were born, whether it's their family, childhood friends, siblings, parents, whatever, that have been there for them.
I just want someone to reach out to me and just care about me. And that sounds really sad and pathetic, but what sounds worse than that was me saying I don't really have friends. Like, I have friends. I have wonderful people in my life. I don't think I let anyone close enough to me where...
For me, there's really nobody that holds that place. And the idea that I'm willing to open that up for somebody is alien to them. My opinion is that at the age in which I'm at, there is no such thing as true, unconditional compassion.
Give it till I can't give. I lend a hand if it's needed, but these stabs got me bleeding down my back, yeah.
They sent me to this motherfucking pawn in Central Park. I'm like, listen, man.
I don't mean in a, you can go do the worst things to somebody and they'll still be there for you, or this. I don't mean like crazy things like that. I mean more like it's okay to make a mistake. From what I see, a little too late to make new connections like that, unless you are somehow trauma bonded through something insane, like maybe war. I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know what I need to do. I'm completely lost. I think I'm just trying to come up with an answer, because if I can wrap it up in a bow, maybe you guys will appreciate it more, or maybe I'll be able to get something from this. I wish that life was a little more simple, you know? But I fear that I will be searching endlessly for what it means to just like exist, you know? All too often I do find that I am too much for people. And the more that happens, the more I settle on the idea that maybe I was not meant for long-term connections or friendships or relationships, and maybe I should be alone, born alone, live alone, stay alone. I'd like to prove otherwise. What do you guys think?
Do you blame yourself? What? Well, it's quite common in this situation for a patient to feel a kind of guilt. What situation? The accident.
I hope I figure it out real soon. This way I'm existing right now is probably not sustainable. If any of you guys are struggling with the same things, I hope you do as well.
McDonald's doesn't want you guys on the property, so you guys gotta leave.